Welcome back to Luxury Land. On this episode, we'll be discovering which country is the richest in the world. And we'll be looking at per capita GDP, or the goods and final services that a country produces in a year, divided by the number of people living there to determine the richest countries in the world. If you live in the world, please hit that subscribe button and just stomp on that like button so that we can continue to inspire you by bringing you the luxury content you deserve. Number 10. Denmark, $61,478. Denmark has an economic model called flexicurity. This is where employers can hire and fire employees as they please. There's no minimum wage and you can start a business relatively quickly. The unionization rate is high, however, and there's very good employment insurance. But after 6 months, it gets cut in half, and in 2 years, it runs out completely. Most notably, there's a social support system in place that makes sure that everyone has the minimum resources to live. Number 9. San Marino, $61,508. San Marino used to be a tax haven for offshore accounts, but in 2010 introduced measures to get rid of all the shady dealings in order to get removed from the world's blacklist. This decision caused San Marino to suffer at first, having its GDP increase 30% between 2008 and 2017, but it bounced back through manufacturing and tourism. The country also attracted foreign investment with its significantly lower taxes in comparison to the rest of Europe. San Marino is also the only country in the world with more cars than people, so there's that. Number 8. Brunei, $64,405. You might think the 460,000 people living here would be living quite nicely, but you'd be wrong. Most of the earnings go to the ruling Sultan of Brunei and his family. 90% of the GDP is oil and natural gas, and they manage the profits of it. With this money, they fund their luxurious lifestyles with items like golden Rolls Royces. On the flip side, the residents get benefits like free education and healthcare, coupled with low-interest home and car buying. So they're one step ahead of America with that. Number 7. USA, $68,309. Speaking of America, the United States of America is the largest importer and second largest exporter of goods in the world, with 30% of the world's millionaires. America also has 49% of the world's multimillionaires and 139 out of 150 of the world's biggest companies. The private sector accounts for 86.4% of the economy, and the USA is the only developed country that doesn't ensure paid sick or parental leave. Here, the richest 10% controls 72% of the wealth. In 2018, 18.5 million Americans lived in extreme poverty, and the middle-class income completely stalled between 1998 and 2016. Today, around 15% of the population has no health insurance. A country may promote freedom, but there are many ways for a government to oppress its people. Number 6. Norway, $69,171. The North Sea oil made Norway rich in the 1970s, and the country's healthcare is almost free at $225 per year. Its oil assets are invested in the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, with $1.3 trillion in assets, and control an impressive 1% of all shares in the world. Number 5. Switzerland, $75,880. Switzerland has a direct democracy. This means they hold a referendum every 4 months to vote on the main laws. I really like this idea. There are no representatives, just the pure voices of the people. In addition to this, the taxes are low, and manufacturing is important to the country, with huge companies like Nestle and Rolex calling Switzerland home. Number 4. Qatar, $97,262. Qatar has no income tax, and the unemployment rate is 0.1%. Let's start with that. The country's economic development came from liquefying gas in the 90s, which made it super easy to export. Today, oil and gas are 85% of its exports, and they have the largest supply of gas in the world. This gives them a huge sovereign wealth fund worth $335 billion, and the 8,000-member royal family eats generously from this fund. But at least the citizens are well off too. I'm looking at you, Brunei. Number 3. Ireland, $99,239. Ireland's success honestly comes from companies that originated in other countries. In 1999, multinational companies spread throughout the country, decreasing the 17% unemployment rate. Now, multinationals make up a quarter of the Irish workforce and pay 80% of the business taxes. 14 out of 20 leading companies in the country are United States multinationals. Today, Ireland is one of the largest exporters of pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, and software in the world. Number 2, Singapore, $102,742. This is the country with the highest percentage of millionaires in the world. 1 in 6 houses has $1 million or more. Singapore also boasts the second busiest port in the world, and 44% of the workforce are foreigners. The income tax is super low here. There's no minimum wage, but $295 to $740 is given to the neediest households per month. The government provides poor students with laptops and refunds for public transport, but on the flip side, there's no free speech and it's illegal to chew gum. You can get 2 years in prison for it. I mean, it is a country of millionaires, so maybe that's the secret. Ban gum. Number 1, Luxembourg, $122,740. The richest country in the world, Luxembourg got its status from banking and industry, most notably in steelmaking. Luxembourg is also the most important banking center in the entire Eurozone, so you know with that role comes major wealth. The minimum wage is $2,600 per month here, and the public transport is free. These are the richest countries per capita in the world in 2022. Do you live in one of these countries? What's your experience like living there? Do you feel rich? Or do you not live in one of these countries, but like to live in one? If so, which one would it be? Let me know in the comments below. As for myself, I live in the United States, and I really wish we would get the ball rolling on free healthcare for all and free education. It seems like we're stuck in the Stone Age when it comes to those policies. But in the meantime, click a video on the screen to watch something you haven't seen, and thanks for visiting Luxuryland.